Hello and welcome to today's Facecast. It is the 2nd of January. A new year looms ahead of us, doesn't it? And enough of talking about the old year, I won't do that. I want to talk about the new year. What would be better, and would it be good to have some kind of formula, something, a standard, something we could turn to with a hope of living a happy new year and a whole year. Something we could say, if I do this, if I live this way, then at least I'm going to have a better year than I had last year. Hopefully that's the case. I'm going to look now at a passage in the letter to the Philippians. It's a New Testament letter, and it's Philippians chapter 4 verses 6 and 7. And it says this: "Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." That's not a bad standard to look at, is it? Not a bad thing to turn to every now and then, with an opportunity to give ourselves a framework for living. Let me go through it bit by bit and see what we think of it. If you put this year ahead of the different bits of it, this year, do not be anxious about anything. Well, that'd be nice, wouldn't it, if we weren't anxious about this year or anything that was going to happen to us. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything, that is in everything we encounter, all that happens, by prayer and petition. Well, prayer, opening our hearts and minds and talking to God, our Father in heaven, and by petition, bringing before him those things which we are in need of, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, thanking him for all he has provided and reminding ourselves how great and wonderful he is. With thanksgiving, present your requests to God. Don't just harbour them yourselves. Don't just talk about them amongst your friends. Do that too, but don't just do that. Present them to God. Bring them to him. Bring him your cares and woes and troubles and difficulties. Present your requests to God. And what will happen then? Well, it tells us the peace of God. We could do with a bit of that, couldn't we? The peace of God, which transcends all understanding. Let's not try and understand it or get too deep in it. Let's just enjoy it. It transcends all understanding. Will guard your hearts and your minds. So the peace of God will come to us and be a guard for us. It will protect us, that is. It will shape us. It will mould us. It will put us in the right direction. It will guard both our hearts. That's the things we hope for and long for. All our emotions. It will guard our hearts and our minds, the things we think about and think for and want. It will do that in Christ Jesus. Of course, Jesus is at the centre of all of this. All will happen because of his presence with us. Don't be anxious about anything, but in prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, bring your requests to God. And his peace, which is above our understanding, will guard our hearts and minds because we are in Christ Jesus. We are in that living relationship with him. Well, that's a wonderful promise to all of us. And let's use that as a good standard, a good format for each day of this year. Wouldn't be a bad verse to recite each day this year so that you're reminded of how we can be living in the shadow of a God who loves us and Jesus who died for us. See you soon. Bye for now.